I can't believe that I'm actually trusting a situation led by Daniel Jones, but I still think the Colts
Really?
are. Now, I don't necessarily think they're the best team in this division. I think it might be Houston, but I think Houston fell behind too far to actually complete the comeback.
Welcome back, everybody, to the USA Today Sports NFL podcast. Looking a little bit differently this week. I'm hosting. Our party host, Joe Rivera, is feeling a little bit under the weather. So we have our guy, Prince Grimes from For the Win with us. Prince, how are you doing? How was your Thanksgiving, man? I hope you watched as much football as I did.
I'm good, Chris. Thanksgiving was great. You know what I mean? The football was pretty good, at least better than this Sunday we just got. So I'm excited about the fact that we at least got a little bit of good football.
Yeah, if you count the Black Friday game as part of that Thanksgiving weekend slate, all four underdogs won, which is the first time that's ever happened on Thanksgiving, or a Thanksgiving weekend slate at least. And now we just have this totally muddied up playoff picture in both conferences, the AFC and the NFC. And it's December 1st, the day that we're recording this, Prince, which means that when we look at those playoff standings and the in the hunt graphics that I love to see on those broadcasts, they finally have some weight to them, man. Like they really mean something. So let's start breaking down some of these playoff races division by division. And we're going to get started with the NFC North, man. What do you got as far as the NFC North? Obviously, the Chicago Bears entered this week as the number one seed in the entire conference at 9-3 after their really impressive win over the Philadelphia Eagles on Black Friday. The Packers and Lions right there in the mix with them. Let me know what you got there.
You know, the Bears are the one seed in the NFC right now, which is incredible to think about. I still have a hard time completely buying into what they're doing there. Like Ben Johnson is giving them good energy right now. Caleb Williams is finally flashing that potential. So I think they'll be around at the end, but I still like what the Packers can do, man. I feel like the Packers have the potential to make a run here. I don't think we've seen the best out of Jordan Love in that offense yet. I think if they can start rounding into shape and those receivers can really start stepping up and making some plays for Jordan Love, I think we can see the Packers make a run for that division here.
Yeah, I love the Packers, man. That defense can really ball out sometimes. I love the way Jordan Love, plays against man defense. It's really, I think his bread and butter, kind of dicing up those schemes. And he sees a lot of that in the North. We saw that on Thanksgiving against the Lions, those big fourth down throws and everything. Like, I think that's kind of Jordan Love's ceiling. And if he plays to that, I think the Packers could get it done. The Bears, though, man, being around them for a couple weeks this year, like there's belief in that locker room, like there's some real, they've just really turned it around from a year ago when they fired their coach. Now Ben Johnson's in there. They addressed the interior of the offensive line with their guards and their center, Drew Dahlman, and the way that they push the Eagles off the ball against the Eagles defensive line, that gets a lot of credit for being among the best in the league, who have some of the biggest, baddest dudes in the entire NFL in Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, and I'm just naming a few. The way they pushed them off the ball, man, was really impressive, and that run game can travel, I think, throughout December and January. So I'm not going to sleep on them, but I am going with the Packers there. Let's stay in the NFC for a little bit, and we're going to go to the NFC West now, which has, probably three of the best teams in the conference. It's probably the most potent division in the entire league. You have the Los Angeles Rams coming off a somewhat surprising loss to the Carolina Panthers. We'll get to the NFC South in a second. You got the San Francisco 49ers at 9-4, and you also have the Seattle Seahawks at 9-3, a dominant win against the lowly Minnesota Vikings, 26-0 on Sunday. Who's going to emerge from that really elite group there, Prince?
I mean, first of all, shout out to the 49ers who are just kind of hanging around. They're easy to forget about, but this team, Kyle Shanahan, keeps them fighting to the end. I do think it'll come down to the Rams and Seahawks, though. And I look at the loss to the Panthers as just a little blip for the Rams, man. I really think this is not only the best team in the division, I think they're probably the best team in the NFC. That was a tough game. They had to travel east, to play the Panthers on the road. I expect the Rams to bounce back. They have a pretty easy schedule to finish the year. They play the Cardinals twice. They get the Falcons in Atlanta. So I think the Rams probably, bounce back without a problem and win this division.
Yeah, I'm mostly with you there. Again, like I totally agree with everything you're saying about the Niners. Like they're just hanging in there with those injuries on the defensive side of the ball. Robert Salah still finding a way to scheme up his guys. Yeah, he's a great coach. Anytime I think about him, I think about the raw deal he kind of got in New York. that Seahawks defense is just so impressive, man. Mike McDonald quickly becoming like one of the hottest, young coaches in the entire league. But yeah, I'm with you. The Rams lost yesterday. Surprising, yes. Concerning, absolutely not. Like, I'm not at all concerned about the Rams. All those reasons you mentioned. There's a pick six involved, bad weather, all those things. Like, Matthew Stafford is still the MVP front runner, but he's not going to play literally perfect football like he'd been doing for 2 months. So, that kind of is what it is. I'll stick with the Rams there as well. But those Panthers are definitely causing some a little bit of noise there in the NFC South. That race, they're a half game back of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now. Both teams at Bucks at 7-5, Panthers at 7-6 going into their bye. Can the Panthers catch the Bucks?
Can they? Sure. I don't think they will though. And that's not to say the Panthers aren't real. I do think what we've seen from the Panthers, like we can start to believe a little bit. It wasn't just the Rams. They've beaten the Packers. They beat the Cowboys. So the Panthers have some impressive wins here on their resume. The problem with Carolina is they're just too inconsistent. You don't know what you're going to get from them from week to week. You don't know when that offense is just going to go completely silent. They're one game over 500, but I think they're like they have a negative 50-point margin on the season. So when they lose, it can get ugly, right? And Tampa's getting healthy here, right? Bucky Irvin just came back. Chris Godwin came back 2 weeks ago. So I really expect Tampa to really pull off here at the end of the season. I think Carolina's going into a bye, so Tampa will have a chance to get another game on them or half game on them here this week coming up. They have the Falcons and the Saints as the next 2 games on their schedule. So those should be easy wins for Tampa. You got to be careful with division games. You never know how those can go, but I do expect the Bucks to pull away here.
I'm pretty sure the Bucks and Panthers play twice in the final 3 weeks or final 4 weeks there. So like those games, a lot of entropy in that, right? Like as far as that division race, I think the Panthers can catch them for sure. So I'm agreeing with you there, and I think that they're going to do it. I think they're going to do it, but they are like, this is why I love the Panthers. If you watch the show, our subscribers and stuff, like they know all about how much I love these Carolina Panthers because of how chaotic they are. It's more of like like a cute Panther situation than a ferocious Panther situation. But like those fourth down touchdowns yesterday. How could you not love it? I really enjoyed watching that game, and I like when they pull a stiff snap on us. They look so pedestrian on Monday Night Football. Come back 6 days later, take out a Super Bowl front runner. Really cool stuff. We're gonna stick in the South now. But switch over to the AFC. AFC South got really interesting yesterday with the Houston Texans win in Indianapolis over the Colts. Jacksonville Jaguars in the mix there now too. Like, we got a tie at the top of that division, Prince, between the Colts and the Jags, and the Texans are right there. Who's gonna come out on top there?
I can't believe that I'm actually trusting a situation led by Daniel Jones, but I still think the Colts
Really?
are now. I don't necessarily think they're the best team in this division. I think it might be Houston, but I think Houston fell behind too far to actually complete the comeback. I think the Colts are going to finish this thing out simply because I think they're a better team than Jacksonville. And Jacksonville right now, they kind of hit an easy part of the schedule where they're beating up on bad teams, and so it makes them look a little better than they are. They beat the Raiders in overtime. They beat the Cardinals in overtime. They just beat the Titans. So I don't think the Jaguars are necessarily as good as their record is. I think the Colts situation, I just think when you look at what Jonathan Taylor can do, like the dude has been an MVP candidate all year. Daniel Jones has been a steady hand at quarterback. Even in the loss yesterday to Houston, I didn't think Jones played particularly bad. I just think Houston's defense is that good, and that's why I think Houston can potentially even catch Jacksonville too. And so we could see a situation where it's Colts 1, Texans 2, Jaguars fall to 3rd.
Yeah, this is bad vodcasting on my part here because, like, I have no idea. Like, I'm just in total wait and see mode in this division, man. Because, like you said, with the Jags, they're so takeaway dependent in the sense, like, when they win the turnover battle, like, their numbers are crazy. I know that's the same across, that's for every NFL team, but, for them, it's like particularly severe. The Colts got kind of screwed over by the refs a little bit yesterday. I thought like that was some really bad officiating. I know it all kind of evens out in the end, but there's that one stretch there that I mean would have deflated I think any team. But yeah, I thought Daniel Jones played okay yesterday. He's dealing with that fracture in his leg and still playing on it. Toughness has never been a knock on Danny Dimes, right? Like he's a gamer, so I respect him for that. And that Texans defense, man, is so good. That front is amazing. People, kind of ripped on them for trading up and taking Will Anderson right after CJ Stroud in that draft, but I thought it was a great move at the time, and I think it's paid off for them huge over the years. So yeah, again, bad podcasting. I have no idea. If I, if I had to, if I had to make a choice, give me the Texans, man. Give me that defense. CJ Stroud looked okay yesterday. I know that Colts pass defense is kind of like whatever, but if they could figure out a way to run the ball a little bit and kind of develop a little bit of a better scheme in the red zone where they really struggle, like I think they can do it. All right, last up, Prince, we have the AFC North, which I think coming into the season, a lot of us considered a really competitive division, and it's certainly played out that way. But I think we thought the records would look a little bit better at this point in the season. You have the Ravens at 6-6, coming off of a Thanksgiving night loss to the Cincinnati Bengals, who are somehow still alive in this division race and have Joe Burrow back in the fold. And you also have the Steelers at 6-6. They got dominated at home by the Buffalo Bills yesterday. That AFC North, man, how's it going to shake out in your mind?
I guess I should steal a page out your book and say I don't know. But
Yeah, yeah,
if
yeah.
we're picking a team, I'll go with Baltimore. I kind of thought when they started the season off slow that they would make a run and eventually catch Pittsburgh anyway, and we've seen that. Now they kind of take a stumble back on Thanksgiving against Cincinnati. Whatever, call it the Joe Burrow effect, right? The Bengals got a nice little boost there. I do think the Ravens are a little bit better than Pittsburgh overall as a team. That Steelers offense is just kind of uninspiring. Like Aaron Rodgers doesn't really have it anymore. He doesn't have enough playmaking out there to help him. I still like what the Ravens have as far as playmakers between Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews. I think they have enough guys to really overcome some of the struggles we've seen with Lamar Jackson right now. I don't know what's going on with Lamar. He doesn't look like the same athlete. He looks like he's missing a little something right now. But one thing I like about the Ravens is their defense is trending up from the start of the season where they look real bad. Their defense is at least trending in the right direction, where Pittsburgh's defense really isn't the same unit that we thought they could be. And so I think the Ravens do have at least a defensive edge and an offensive edge over the Steelers as these teams still have to face each other twice in the last few weeks.
Yeah, Steelers defense, I think, is the most expensive defense in all of football, and they gave up 249 rushing yards to the Bills yesterday. I know Josh Allen is great with his legs. I know James Cook is a beast, but the way that front seven just got dominated by the Bills front, which is really good. It's a good unit. Like Mike Tomlin cannot be happy about that, man. And like you're gonna need that defense if you want to have a chance of making the postseason or winning this division because of what you said about that offense. The Bengals, I don't know how much stock I'm going to put into them. I do love, Joe Burrow. I love how they find themselves in a similar position to last season where, it's just like win out, win out, win out, and see if you could get some chips to fall for you. It didn't then. Could it this year? I don't know, maybe. But I'm going to say no because of the fact that I've come on this show time and again. And I said that the Ravens weren't going to lose again until New Year's. Maybe I was a little bit premature on that, right? Like that was a little aggressive. But yeah, Lamar's got to figure it out a little bit. Hamstring injuries are tough, man. They're really tough. I think that they can, linger longer and be more of like a mental, fatigue in a way for a guy who is so explosive and can use his legs to change games and things like that. But he also has to get better at passing the ball, right? Like,
Yep.
but I trust that Todd Monken will figure out a way to work with what Lamar can give him down the stretch, and they'll be able to execute a plan because that's the kind of offensive coordinator he is, and that's the way that John Harbaugh kind of has it set it up is to play winning football in December and January. So I'm going to go with the Ravens in the AFC North. Wrapping up here, Prince, we have a Thursday night football preview with the Detroit Lions facing the Dallas Cowboys. Both of these teams currently sit outside of the playoff picture. The Lions are the 8th seed. The Cowboys are the 9th seed. Both of these teams really need this one. So, I guess I'll put it to you this way. Like, who needs it more in your mind? Like, the Lions or the Cowboys?
Wow, I guess I would say that's a great question. Probably Detroit, just because the division is so much steeper in terms of the competition there between the Bears and the Packers. I think the Lions probably needed more just to keep up in the division. Dallas really just has Philly to catch. Now that is a bigger margin probably that they have to make up with the Eagles, so they need it. You know, if not as bad, close to as bad as Detroit does. Both of these teams need it really bad. They'll probably both end up be fighting for a wild card spot. So it's really a toss up. You know, both teams need it. They're fighting
No,
each other at this point.
that was a trick question I threw your way. Yeah, that's like both of these
Yeah.
teams entering desperation mode as we hit December, right? So if I'm going to be fair and answer my own question, I'm actually going to go with the Cowboys because I think that they'll have to really win their division, right? Like they're not going to be in this wild card race. I know that they're right there in the hunt graphic and all that, but I think that that this division race is their path to the playoffs, and if they want to catch the Eagles, going out against Detroit and getting a win there is a great step forward for them. So I kind of like that matchup for the Cowboys and the way that offense has been playing lately. The Lions defense has kind of taken a step back from where they were at the start of the year, so I'm interested to see how they can kind of like readjust. But yeah, no, I'm gonna go with the Cowboys for not only my prediction for Thursday Night Football, but for who this game is more important for. Do you want to make a pick, Prince, for Thursday night, or no? It's too early in the week. I get it.
You know what? If I'm making an early pick, I'm going to go with Detroit just based off of what we've seen over the past 2 years. It's hard for me to get out of my mind what I know about the Lions under Dan Campbell and to think that they would lose this game to Dallas. But I will say, man, this Dallas offense the last few weeks looks incredible. Detroit might want to give, I don't know, Darrell Revis a call, see where he's at, Deion Sanders, see if they can get some of these great cornerbacks to come out of retirement because they're going to have a hard time with George Pickens and CD Lamb and Dak Prescott just slinging it all over the field. Jahmyr Gibbs is really going to be key here if he can get it going for Detroit and take some of the pressure off of Jared Goff, because right now that offensive line really isn't blocking the way they need to. Jared Goff is back there getting beat up, and if he doesn't have the time to kind of match what Dallas can do offensively, the Lions could be in trouble.